Hey, it's Luke with Out of Darts. Today we are checking out the Rival Challenger. Rival is back from the dead. Let's get going. The Rival blasters and the entire lineup have always had a sweet spot in my heart. Back when I started in the hobby, they were introduced while I was in the hobby and actively modding, so I got to see all of the releases. And from the original Zeus and Apollo, I was a huge fan, especially coming from paintball. Round ammo is just a fun ammo. One of the big benefits of the Rival line is not only that the balls are easy to find and easy to pick up, but that they also last a long time. I have ammo from my original blasters that are now 8+ years old and they still work. That's pretty remarkable compared to a foam dart. Something I also want to mention is that this video is not sponsored. I was not sent this by Hasbro. They did not offer to send me this. I bought this at Target, full price, and I believe right now if you buy them, you can actually buy one, get one half off. I missed that sale, unfortunately. Initially, when Rival was launched, Rival was aimed at getting older kids into blasting, and I think it really did a good job at that. Rival came out in 2015, which was shortly after I joined the hobby myself. Obviously, we have some big lineage with the blasters. I took the Zeus and made the Hurricane, and that is the origin story of this entire business and everything that we do here. If it wasn't for the Rival line, I wouldn't probably still be doing this. Then in 2019, we got the Rival Perseus, and this was chef's kiss. Literally the best blaster for Rival that they have ever made. The only problem with it is it didn't have the capacity I wanted, so we built this hopper. Took the capacity from 50 rounds and a little bit of an annoying loading structure to 160 rounds, much easier to load through a nice big door. Now, Rival is clearly not dead, and that's really exciting to see because I like seeing new releases. This is the Rival Challenger. The Rival Challenger is essentially what I would call a Rival Stryfe. And it's the blaster that I am honestly a little confused how this didn't get made already. This seems like a really logical option and a logical blaster to make, and I'm really glad they finally did it. It's got some really aggressive look to it. It feels very much sort of like a Warhammer 40K bolter. It's got a lot of, really large front end. It's really blocky. I kind of love the look of it, to be honest. I like that the Rival line has always had kind of a distinct look, whether it's sort of sci-fi, futuristic, all the little greebles on it and everything, and I think the design choices here are a lot of fun. It features a unique curved magazine and a standard Rival magwell. The Challenger is compatible with all of the other Rival branded mags, the mags from Hasbro, so that's really great. You do have to remember to put it in the correct direction, but you've got options here as far as your existing mags. This also means it's going to be compatible with things like this, which is one of my proton pack adapters. Here's a little version, but essentially you'd put this in here, connect that hose to the proton pack, and figure out a way to do the triggering, and yeah, pretty good to go. One other question I know people are gonna have is the magazine from Worker, this really beefy mag, and while it does fit, it does not catch. I do believe you could make this work. It should activate. We'll actually test this, but I don't think it's going to hold in place the way you would want it. Interestingly enough, it's tight enough where it kind of sticks. So I'm gonna say that's compatible, but do know that you're probably gonna scratch up your mag and magwell a little bit as you jam that in there. Looking at the rest of the blaster, up top we've got some sort of version of Rival rail. In the back we've got a very unique little carabiner, which I think is advertised as a way to kind of clip this onto a backpack or onto a belt loop. I think it's a little heavy and a little cumbersome to do this way, but I kind of do like seeing something a little more novelty. I could definitely see, going to a game and strapping that to the back of my backpack as I'm walking up to the game or something. We've got a pretty standard paddle mag release down here. One thing I have noticed is every time I remove a magazine, I do lose a ball. And this is a common problem with a lot of them, and it's just because you've essentially opened up the gate, there's a ball that's up there ready to be fed, and then when you pull a full mag out, you're gonna lose that one ball. I think realistically, you're probably not pulling a full mag out or a mag with ammo still in it. You're generally gonna remove it completely. Up front, we've got this nice sort of skeletonized look and all these greebles, and Again, I think it looks really cool. And I love that the colors are bright and super fun. And then we've got a very interesting, I don't know if you'd call that a sling point or just another greeble. I'm not sure what you would use that for, but it is it's kind of a neat look, and it is a continuation of an aesthetic that they've done before. It definitely ties back to the previous blasters. The Percy's had a sort of fixed loop there that had a very similar look. And then right in front, you've got one oddity, which is clearly just a visual aesthetic thing. This is what looks like an oversized end strike barrel log. And I would hazard to guess they're not going to do anything with this. It has that similar look that kind of ties back into the other Hasbro blasters. One of the reasons all this extra stuff is up here, if you look at the flywheel cage here, you can see it actually stops here. The whole blaster could technically be cut short here, but there's a liability thing of a certain length of finger cannot get to the flywheels, so it's just a toy safety thing. They don't want kids being able to stick their finger in there and touch those flywheels. Moving on to the other side, we've got no paint on this side, and we've got a very, very flat profile, which at first I was like, boy, that's kind of goofy. But then when you realize, as a right-handed person anyway, I spend most of the time with that against my body, it's actually kind of nice to see that. Ergonomically, it feels quite good. It is a bit tall from where you're holding it, but the grip fits my full-size hands just fine, and the rev trigger feels great. The handling of this blaster is a little weird up front where your hand wants to grip. There's plenty of room to hold on here, but the actual feel of this is not great to hold on to. We might look at making just a nice slide-on thing that makes this super comfortable, kind of like what we've got for our Jupiter. Operation, let's just get this and get firing. It's rev fire exactly like you'd expect. We've got 8 AA's for 12 volts nominal voltage. That's of course not under load. And this is a very interesting part of the blaster. The Challenger is the first blaster to have AA's. For those that are not aware, you can get more current generally out of a D or a C than you're going to get out of a AA, as well as battery life is going to be longer. But essentially this is running at higher voltage than the rest of their blasters. The highest prior was a 9.6 pack, so it's technically a little bit higher. When you really look at an alkaline, when it's under load, they drop down to 1.2 volts. So it's probably not getting quite as high as 12, might be more in the 10 volt range, something like that, but still very interesting. Performance-wise, in our standard 20-shot average, it's hitting 86 with AccuRival. That's the balls that are included with a very tight standard deviation of 1. The Challenger then hits 87 with the standard yellow ammo with a standard deviation of 2. So it's a very consistent blaster, which makes sense. The flywheels look very similar to what we've seen in the past. The hop-up tab looks very similar, but it looks to be a little bit wider. So on the note of performance, clearly this isn't hitting as high as the Percy's. The Percy's has a nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery pack, which can put out a lot more power than these AA's are going to do. I suspect they wanted to keep the price down since this comes in at $35 in 2024. I think that's a pretty decent trade-off considering the, Percy's was a $100 blaster at release. It's a pretty big discrepancy. Overall, I think this is a tremendous release. I think it's a really good offering, and at $35, it seems like a pretty reasonable price point. We are definitely going to be cracking this thing open and doing additional content. We'll do a full mod guide because I just love things Rival. We will also look at cages and other options, and we may have some wheels that might fit inside this blaster. So we'll be testing those out as well, and we'll update you in future videos as far as compatibility. I think this blaster is going to be a lot of fun, and for people that enjoy Rival and play inside, this is definitely going to be a great choice. If you're in the short dart realm and you're playing more competitively at games that have 150 FPS, this is going to be a hard blaster to compete with. Rival balls at any velocity just do not fly far enough or straight enough to take on a 150, 200 feet per second short dart. I mean, even if you were to just take this against the Stryfe X, there's just no competition. You would not do well. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know what else you'd like to see from this. We're definitely going to have more content coming up. And until next time, I'm out of darts. I'm out of Luke. What? It's my first day.